we know next to nothing about the seafloor, and it's our own planet, which we're ruining, so we might as well know about it. Yeah, I think it's critically important. Well, we're dumping stuff in it, we're polluting the ocean. From time to time when I was with the government, we'd be taking pictures of the deep abyssal seafloor and find junk on the bottom, tin cans and barrels and things. So, yeah, we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be doing it. So it's critically important. It's the 70% of the planet that really keeps us alive. It all started, I think, because I was born and raised in Kansas. And I didn't like Kansas very much, and so I first went to the Pacific Ocean when I was in high school, and thought I was very impressed with the Pacific Ocean and didn't understand a thing about it. And then in undergraduate school, I was being trained as a geologist and spent time in the field doing a lot of field mapping. And my paleontology professor asked me if I'd like to go on a cruise with him. And so I said, yeah, of course. And so I went on this cruise, and that was the end of it. I was completely taken by the ocean. I applied to and got accepted to Columbia Universities, which had at the time by far the world's most famous oceanographic observatory. And my professor was a guy named Bruce Hazen, who did this map behind me here. And he was, and probably still is, the greatest ocean mapper we've ever known. So I was trained by him to do ocean mapping. It was very difficult to map the ocean. So when I got to Lamont as a graduate student, we only had 2D images of the seafloor, the shape of the seafloor. And the 2D images were separated by sometimes 100 or 200 kilometers between lines. And you had to try to figure out what was between them, which was very, very difficult. So we had very sparse data. And we would draw the details along the track lines. We put water depths and so forth along the track lines, and then we draw contours between them. Then we'd hand it over to his right-hand assistant, Marie Tharp, who is an absolute master at interpolating what's between the lines where we had no data. And so we had no idea really what the seafloor looked like. We were struggling to try to figure it out. We just didn't have the equipment. Since then, instead of doing 2D images of the seafloor, we can actually do 3D images of the seafloor, where instead of collecting a line directly beneath the ship of data, collected very rapidly, now we do a swath. It's like mowing the grass. So we just do a whole swath of soundings, and then the space between the soundings is only 50 meters or so.
Yeah. And
then we can do a 3D image. So that reveals the seafloor like this. So I can then take the seafloor and actually look at it in all kinds of ways to actually get a good understanding of what's going on. Before I became the chief of seafloor mapping, I was at the USGS, and I was the chief scientist of a drilling vessel for scientific drilling. And getting prepared for that cruise, I had to choose a team of 12, a total of 12, so 10 other scientists to go on the cruise. I went down to Scripps Institution and asked around, and I got the name of Larry Mayer. And so I called Larry Mayer and asked him if he wanted to go to sea. And so he went, and we became really close friends. He was asked to be the founding director of CCOM. He then asked me to be on the board of overseers while I was still in the government. And he was saying, well, why don't you just come here? And so I said, well, I'm not sure my wife would want to come here. And so I asked her, and she said, yeah. She said, oh, I think it is really cool. And I retired from the government, sold our house, moved out here, and never looked back. I think what's going to happen in the next 10 years is there's going to be a concerted effort to put a fleet of autonomous vehicles equipped with multi-beam echo sounders. So instead of one ship or two ships going out trying to map the seafloor, so in 30 days I can map a couple of 100,000 square kilometers of land. If you had 150 autonomous vehicles going out that had long-term batteries on them so they could stay underwater for a week or two, then you could map the seafloor probably in a decade. People like me that are going to retire in a year or two are just being replaced by people so much smarter than I am that it's just going to continue to grow and grow and get better and better. So I have not gone to the Arctic or the Antarctic because I don't like cold weather. So it's as simple as that.